Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Adam, how's it going in DC?
DC's as good as it can be,
DC,
but
DC.
I will say weather is turning around. We had a
Yeah.
first 70 degrees day probably in a couple of weeks. We've been in like
Okay.
the 40s and 50s. Uh, and I don't care what Stringer Bell has to say about 40-degree days. Today suck. So I am glad we're getting good weather. But yeah, everything else is what it is. How
Right.
are things with you?
It's good. We had an 83, I think 83 degrees today, but tomorrow it goes like to 71, which isn't bad. So they had the Dogwood Festival this past weekend. I went to that yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a lot of good pictures from there.
Yeah, it was good. Getting a little turnout, nice weather. But yeah. But what's going on in the world of movie reviews?
Well, I will say I'm a little behind in my movies, but I did catch up on a movie from earlier this year. And you might have seen this one because it just popped up on Netflix for streaming. But One of Them Days, starring Keke Palmer
Oh,
and
yes. Yeah, I talked about that. Yeah.
yeah, you did. Yeah. So again, it's been a busy couple of weeks, but I did get to catch up on that film. And for anyone who hasn't heard your review earlier this year.
Yeah.
One of them days is kind of it's a buddy comedy with Keke Palmer and SZA, and they get into a situation where they have to get themselves out of it, and a lot of antics happen. They have to get rent by the end of the day, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
antics that are happening in the course of this one, like not even 24-hour period, probably
Right.
like 18-hour period. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It takes place in California, in LA area, and I knew this was going to be a good movie, but people mentioned the chemistry between Kiki and SZA, and it's great.
Yes.
Like they really have a good a presence, first of all, and like just a good like back and forth and how they get
Yeah.
along, and it's hilarious. There's lots of moments that are just unexpected. There's
Yeah.
moments, and I'll say this: I like this also because and this is not much of a spoiler, but as it starts wrapping up, you start thinking, okay, well, here's how the story's going to wrap up. But they really kind of subvert that and like switch it up and like give you a different ending than you would normally think of
Yeah.
like one of these type of movies. But definitely worth checking out. It's fun. A lot of good characters. Cat Williams has a
Yeah.
supporting role
Williams.
in
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of I can't remember the actress's name, and I'm probably going to try to look it up. But the woman who is in Abbott Elementary as the principal,
Oh
um,
yes. I forgot she was in there. Jeanette.
yeah,
What's her name? Yeah.
yeah, she is hilarious as always.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, Janelle James, and
Janelle.
so yeah, we get a lot of cool cameos. So
And Issa Rae.
definitely,
Issa Rae produced that movie.
yeah. And I'm curious. Does I she's one of the producers, and she obviously had a hand on it, but I wonder how much of an influence she had on it because the director for this is Lawrence Lamont, and I don't know much about him,
Yeah.
but yes, you can tell it's a well put together team. It's a good
Mhm.
script. It's fun. There's a lot of fun elements and twists and turns
Yeah.
that you don't even have to try to figure out. It's not a movie where you're like,
No.
oh, can I figure out what this character is about? You don't have to. You can. It's fun to think about, but everything just moves quickly. And I think it's, an hour and a half, so it also
Right.
moves at a pretty good pace.
That's my wheelhouse right there. Hour and a half. You got me. I'll check it out.
Exactly. So, highly recommend, especially if you have Netflix, you can watch it as soon as you
Yeah.
finish listening to the Stephen Knight show.
Exactly. Exactly. I watched, it's not a movie, but I watched the balloon pop thing.
Or I saw the ads and the trailers. What is it exactly?
So it's big on YouTube and on TikTok. I saw it on TikTok. And what it is, they have singles, so they'll have a bunch of single women, and they'll bring out a man, and you can pop whatever you want. You're not interested, or he can pop your balloon too. And the hope is you get down to narrow down to a couple, and then the host asks at the end, "Do we have a match?" And then if they agree, then they go off, and then whatever happens between them, right? So that's the premise of it. It's like a dating show. And so I thought they were bringing the host because the host, because she's been doing this so long on YouTube and in TikTok, she has a little name for herself online. And so when they were promoting it, they even used her in the promo. But the woman, but the person who's actually hosting it, she's from Insecure with Issa Rae. I can't think of her name. She's a comedian from Africa, South Africa. But anyway, she's the host, and so the first episode, I guess they do it weekly. The first episode dropped last Thursday, and they say it's live, and they used a lot of Netflix reality stars, which I don't know any of,
Hmm.
but but they used
Of course,
those,
yeah.
and it wasn't really. People were thinking, "Yeah, I'm going back on YouTube," because it just seemed like to me it just didn't work. I mean, and it wasn't because the host. I think she's hilarious. I just think that I think the people at this point they're coming on there for notoriety. It's another reality show for them. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like they were coming really to find love. And even the ways they were popping balloons, it made no sense. Oh, I didn't like his clothes, or I didn't like his, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
A little
But
too
and I
forced.
saw a lot of people they weren't feeling it online. But again, that was just the first episode. There was some controversy, of course. They had this one reality. I think he was the first person that came out, and he came out and I think he was white. He appeared to be white. He might have been other, but he appeared to be white to me. But he was saying, they were going through, and he was really like animated or whatever. That was just his personality, and he kind of said this is reality TV for him. But anyway, so they were, going through the, why'd you pop your balloon, such and such, and he was asking about their toes. How are your feet? He was looking at their feet, and one woman who was very critical of everyone. She was a black woman, and he said he was talking, giving compliments on the feet, and he said to her, "Your feet look like you swing from a trees upside down." Which, in watching it, I didn't take offense to it because it was like they were going back and forth with each other.
Yeah,
But of
yeah.
course, social media. But he came out and said, and went on social media and said, "I wasn't even talking to her. I was talking to the white woman." But
Uh,
anyway, but that was a controversy. But I think they were just trying to force something because it wasn't really,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
But
I guess it's safe to say the show was not popping.
it wasn't popping, right? So we'll see. So episode 2 is on Thursday, so we'll see. But a lot of people online weren't feeling it. Just what I saw based on the comments. But the premise of the show is good in terms of like what I've seen on TikTok. But I personally wouldn't go on there because sometimes people are just so nervous, like everyday people. They're extremely like one guy I was watching, I happened to come across the episode last night. He was so nervous. And he was, they were like, and he was intimidating the women because he was so nervous. We can tell he was well put together. He had a good job in finance and all that. Um, and so they kept calling him goofy and silly.
Mhm.
And someone said, I don't know where they're getting that from in the comments. I said, right, he didn't crack one joke or or smile once. But I don't know. But
We'll see.
its success is better on YouTube and TikTok at this point. But we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Awesome, awesome.
Anything coming out of the pipeline?
Well, there's that Sinners movie. There's a
Mm,
couple other
I
things.
want to see that. I want to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not like big on the horror, but I think we'll see what the element is,
Mm.
and if they balance it
It
right.
got
But
what? What's the top rating on Rotten Tomatoes?
what's the what?
The top rating on Rotten Tomatoes is it 10?
Well, 100%. No, it's 100%.
100. It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's Ryan Coogler, right? Like, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
I don't know if the genre will be the one I
right.
rush to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I'm
want to see
excited.
that new Viola Davis movie. I think it's on Amazon Prime, but I hadn't a chance to watch it this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie, anything related to presidential or Congress or
Right.
anything like that right now.
Right.
Like, I am not. I think it'll be a good movie, but
Yeah,
it's not what I want to see at this point.
exactly. I get that. I get that. All right, Adam. Well, thank you as always for letting us know what to spend our time, money on, what not to. And I'll see you next week.
Awesome.
All right, back after this.